Hello one, hello all, it is the most drippin' with Janet, ghost of them all, Caspa in the flesh, and it's time for a review of James Blake, Playing Robots into Heaven. James Blake is a UK-based singer, songwriter, producer, and this is the 6th studio album from this genius of a man, James Blake. I was first introduced to him years ago when I discovered his song Wilhelm Scream, and I checked out his album, and honestly, it's, in my opinion, arguably one of the best, probably next to his latest album, which was Friends Will Break Your Heart, which I thought was filled with heart-wrenching balladry, very cold, very atmospheric, but yet very tangible production, and definitely his best songwriting yet, in my opinion, and best vocals yet, in my opinion, so maybe that's his best. But now we have Playing Robots into Heaven, which, going into this, I didn't know what to expect, but it seems here that James is putting together a bunch of songs that were unreleased, that were ideas, so some may come off as unfinished, some may come off as finished. You're getting a mixed bag here, because there are some tracks where you're getting just instrumentals, or you're getting vocals and well-structured songs, like on the song Fire the Editor, which we will get into later. Now, also, I do want to point out that this is actually the last time you will hear of the balladry James Blake, unfortunately, which I enjoyed, but I also do enjoy his production chops. I do think he's an excellent producer. I do think, though, there are spots on here where he does fall short, and I will say the opener is an example of that. I do enjoy the bubbly synths, but I don't think it takes off too much of anywhere. I think a lot of it is pretty stagnant and kind of underwhelming. Fortunately, though, we get the very vibrant, very nocturnal loading with these nocturnal synth chords that have a very regal quality to them. I'm almost reminded of something out of Clockwork Orange in a way, with various pitches within the vocal sample. In a way, too, it kind of reminds me of like 90s music videos where you have like one singer like stepping out of the corner, then the other stepping out of the corner. I feel it kind of creates that thing. Like there's a lot of James Blake going on here. The Blakeness is real. Blakeness is running wild. And I do love the shimmering keys, the thumping beat with fragmented reverb snares, and I love the hook. I love how there's like such a theatric, futuristic feel to it. It's like kind of like a play in space, but not a cheesy one. Wherever I go. And I love the ghostly backing vocals that are on this track, which I feel complements the darkness. It complements the atmosphere of the production. And again, we get more complementary effects with the manipulation on the vocals, which definitely complements the theme of loading. It's very euphoric, but at the same time, it feels so triumphant. Next, we get the thumping, multi-phased bop Tell Me, which has some visceral elements to it, such as stuttering, blaring synths over this droning bass, but psychedelic layers underneath, hitting a ethereal sound wave for these very psychedelic organs coming in, very colorful organs coming in. They're layered with these pitched vocals. It's like being in a nightclub and it just becomes very purple, very hazy, very colorful, and you're just trying to just float through the atmosphere of these clouds of haze. We then have Fall Back, which has this clunky production, hypnotic vocals with like a marching synth progression with these elevating vocal samples just elevating as the track progresses, with these bright dance music melodies that are almost reminiscent of the classic Gypsy Woman by Crystal Waters. And it's not just, as I said before, it's not just a bunch of vocal samples. There are tracks that have lyrics, well-structured songs with actual lyrical content to them, such as probably the most confrontational track here, Fire the Editor. Well, I guess I'm out of a job. But no, looking into the background of this is actually more of a self-reflection where basically James or any other artist out there is their own critic, and it's about having intrusive thoughts of doubt, of maybe you should do it this way, or trying to prevent yourself from making a mistake, making an error, but you're just basically shutting those thoughts down. And I absolutely love the refrains, the lullaby keys, I love the melodic vocals here, but also how you could like sense the anger through the sweetness. And if I see him again, we'll be having words. I just love how passionate and how haunting at the same time, and how beautiful Blake's vocals sound on a track. I just get amazed by it. And the only tracks I would say that I do have an issue with don't really have Blake vocally on them. It's more a matter of the production. Be it Night Sky, which is just a very bland blob of a track that just doesn't really go anywhere and is kind of stagnant in my opinion. Probably the worst track on here. Or the song Big Hammer, which he is not on, where he samples the Raga Twins, and it just doesn't really have the punch and the visceralness or the momentum or the energy or the passion that I know Blake could put on a track. And there's also tracks that sound unfinished, that sound like they're gonna get to somewhere but actually don't. That's pretty much how I feel about the song Can You Hear Me, which I thought he was making a song for his father, but in actuality, looking into it, it was supposed to be for a movie, a sci-fi movie, but wasn't exactly chosen. So it just pretty much fizzles out before it even gets started. I think the piano lines aren't very memorable, and vocally, I don't think Blake really has heart in it. So yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag of tracks. However, I do think the album does end on a strong note with the title track, Playing Robots into Heaven, which is a gorgeous, multifaceted ambient track with these bright keys pretty much just singing into my eardrums and engulfing me within this soundscape that it has created in a very beautiful way. Now, overall, I do think there are highlights on this album. I did find enjoyment in this. I did enjoy it overall. However, it's not quite an album. It's pretty much just a mixtape for the club, for the dance scene, which is fine. I just wish that if he were to put more sound collage on here and return to his roots, these songs sound more polished, more put together, more punch to them. Because the tracks that stuck out to me the most are the ones that are more layered, more futuristic, more tangible, and I do wonder what is next, because it has been told that there is more songs that are in the vault that are yet to be released. So the question is, what's next? But yeah, if the tracks he releases are tight, like the highlights on here, and don't sound unfinished, and don't sound weak in comparison to others, I think we get a great sound collage album from James Blake. But feeling a 3.5 out of 5 on this. 3.5 black hearts out of 5 on this. Enjoyed it, but didn't love it. But that's just my opinion. What did you think of this? Did you love it? Did you hate it? And why? That's it. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, James Blake, Playing Robots into Heaven. Till we meet again.